Let's talk about Kristi Noem, my favorite story of the week. You'll recall yesterday I brought you the story about Kristi Noem, the good governor of South Dakota. She's a nonpartisan hack. She doesn't let politics get in the way, right? She's always out in front for the people of South Dakota instead of her political ambitions.
Can I say
anyway,
something real quick about her? Like, she would have made a great character in Interview with a Vampire with no makeup. Like, those eyes are piercing.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's been reported. I hesitated to talk about this, but you know, Corey Lewandowski?
Mm-hmm.
Corey Lewandowski is, according to a right-wing blog this morning, apparently he's been seen with her, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
And they're both married, apparently. And according to this right-wing blog, she's, they've been quite chummy lately. And now, also separately, Politico is reporting about Corey Lewandowski this morning, actually, that he's been pushed out of the Trump camp for making unwanted sexual advances against former, against one of his former, executives or people that works within one of the former donors. Big donor is accusing Corey Lewandowski.
If you went to that website and you saw that and he's standing next to Trump, it's like, you know, that's a quick, like, hey, he's making sexual advances on Trump. Wow.
Yeah. Now, they did mention, they didn't go into details about this whole thing, but Lewandowski, because he's been making, like, getting chummy with Kristi Noem. And he's been apparently getting her in Trump's good graces, and there's possibility that if Trump runs in 2024, he would pick her as his running mate. Those are the rumors. Kristi Noem could be Trump's running mate in 2024. And according to rumors, they've been kind of chummy.
Well, maybe Corey just has family members that want to be real estate. What is it that they do?
Oh, real estate appraisers?
Yeah, maybe he just knows some people and he's like, oh, she can get the job.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Kristi Noem up there in South Dakota, she is she's under fire because her daughter, 26 years old, failed her real estate appraiser exam, didn't get her real estate appraisal license, okay? And then she calls a meeting, brings the state agency in, who's a head of giving out these licenses, and brings her daughter in, brings a whole bunch of other people into her office, and basically reams them out. It's like, hey, my daughter didn't get her license because she's stupid. She couldn't pass a real estate appraiser's exam or license. She didn't get it. So can you give it to her anyway? Like, is that not an abuse of office? So anyway, then suddenly, magically, her daughter gets her real estate appraiser's license in South Dakota. Well, the update this morning is that now she's under investigation. So I wanted to bring you this update. Apparently, her alleged nepotism may be probed by the Attorney General that she hates. So the Attorney General, you'll recall, was also involved in a hit-and-run accident where he fled the scene, killed somebody, and then later just got a slap on the wrist with some fines. Like, let me ask you this. Anybody watching right now, if you were involved in a hit and run, you hit somebody with a car and then you killed that person and then you fled the scene, what do you think would happen to you? Answer me in the chat below. What do you think would happen to you? I can tell you what will probably happen to me.
Yeah, same.
Probably be arrested.
It's kind of like that meme I posted yesterday on Morning Invest, the one that says, if you lie to the government, it's a felony. If the government lies to you, it's politics.
Right. Yeah. Drew de Olivia says, I'd be in prison. Arlene Morrow says, I'd be in jail. Lisa Pettit, jail time. Francis Bragg says, we'd all go to jail. Yep. Jail, prison, jail for life. Hippie Soul says, I'd be arrested. Nope, not if you're in South Dakota and you're the Attorney General, you just get a fine. Anyway, now this same Attorney General is investigating the governor for allegedly abusing her office to get her daughter a real estate appraiser's license after she was first denied one in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Less than a day after the AP reported this whole story, I've been contacted by several concerned citizens and legislatures, Attorney General Jason Ravensborg said. I'm actively reviewing their concerns, and I will be following the steps prescribed in codified law in relation to those questions. Democratic state lawmakers had raised concerns that Noem had improperly pressured the head of the state's appraiser program, Sherry Bren, to provide her daughter a license after she was denied one. Bren was then forced out of her job a week later and was given a $200,000 settlement as basically as gag money. So now we'll see, if he's going to, what he's going to do to this. I love that he basically claimed that he thought he hit a deer. He's like, I thought it was a deer.
It was a dear old lady. He's
It was just a deer. Can you fault me?
Jeez.
Mark Sparks says, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So Kristi Noem, we'll see what happens there. She thinks, though, it's a witch hunt. Well, now her attorney general, I don't know why they don't like each other. I'm not sure why they don't like each other. That's one thing I don't know about it. This piece doesn't specifically talk about it, like why they're not fans of each other, but I don't know. I'm not sure. The governor raised eyebrows when she commissioned a personal office desk that was equipped with a gun holder made by prison labor, one she reportedly received a hefty discount for. So this is not the first time that she's had some questions. She has the office desk that has a gun built into it that she had her own prison labor in South Dakota make it for her. And she got a big discount for it.
Did she learn that from Kamala Harris?
Maybe, yeah. Noem also deployed his National Guard unit to Mexico border this summer using funds from a private donation. So she's got some, this is the thing, when you've got a whole Republican legislature, who's going to really investigate this? The only good thing here is that at least the attorney general is not fans. They're not fans of each other. He knows that Noem has called on him to resign over the whole hit and run incident. So they're bad blood there. But beyond that,
you know what's crazy too is these people don't even have to worry about journalists anymore. It's like you get caught, but like there's no journalists like down their throat. Like CNN isn't there. Like, investigating what really happened. They're probably going to be questioning and talking about it, but there's no investigative journalists out there like following these paper trails and seeing just how corrupt these people are. Because if they're doing this one thing, I guarantee you they've been doing this their whole career.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And, the thing is that we know what's happened to independent journalism. It's all but dried up. I mean, I don't know do you have some really good independent investigative journalists in South Dakota?
Doesn't sound like it.
Probably not. Look, I'm not crapping on South Dakota, but I will tell you, I lived in Montana. And if you want to kind of compare a little bit here, just like the money that people would get paid at like a local newspaper. I remember when I worked in Helena, Montana, and I covered the governor's office and I worked for CBS News, and I made $23,000 a year covering the governor. And I was like fresh out of college. That's who gets hired for those positions. And the local newspaper, I forget it was called like the Independent. I forget what the Helena newspaper is. If anyone's from Helena, Montana, let me know in the chat. But it was called like the Independent or something like that. And it was like very thin. It was not a newspaper that had like a lot of reporting. And most of the articles, if you looked at the bylines, you could see that they were just reprinted Associated Press articles. Like they weren't original reporting. There was like one or two articles from the local reporter newsroom that was covering Helena. It was like one article about the government and like one crime related story or something. That was it. They
Is
did
it
not
the
have
Independent Record?
Yes, the Independent Record. That's right. The Independent Record. And it was real thin paper, but most of it was just reprinted from national newspapers. There'd be an article, you could see the byline, Wall Street Journal, or Associated Press. I'm sure if you guys live in a small town you're watching right now, pick up your local newspaper and see how many articles are written originally by that particular paper. Most of them are going to be just reprints. Like even my parents' paper in Reading, Pennsylvania, called the Reading Eagle, I would go home and visit, and most of the articles were written or repurposed from like the Associated Press or, I don't know, New York Times or something like that, or USA Today or Gannett newspapers. They would just repurpose those things, you know.
Well, and think about it. It all boils down to the money, because these local newspapers are like dying breed, right? So any advertising that they can get, they got to hold on to. And if those advertisers don't want these stories, like if it's an advertiser that's some kind of big business, it's like, hey, we can't push the governor. She gives us tax incentives. So, you know, there's this whole world going on. I remember, I think it was the show 2020. There was a group of people that were going to do this story on milk. I believe it was on raw milk. And they did all their research and they had all of this data and everything. And then the TV channel's like, yeah, you're not going to air this because it goes after this industry, the milk industry or something like that. And so they had to pull the story. And so it's like, this was important information that they wanted to get out to people, because it was like, we're putting this stuff in our bodies, and they had done all this research. And so it's like, that's what it boils down to, is if you are going against the establishment, you're not going to get that word out.
No, I remember when I worked at an NBC affiliate in West Virginia, in Bluefield, West Virginia. We were going to, it was like May sweeps time, and we were doing a story. Apparently I think the owner of the big car dealership in Bluefield, I don't know the name, and I don't recall the full story, but the owner of this, I think he had multiple car dealerships. So he was probably one of the biggest names in town. You know, they always name it after themselves, like Blaine's Ford.
Dick Hanna.
Yeah, you know, yeah, they always name it after themselves, you know. So that was this guy. And apparently there was some legal issue. He got in some trouble, and there was something, and we were going to cover it on the news, on our show. But because they were such a big money provider to the station, you know, they would do their local ads all the time. That was probably their biggest money maker. You know, come down to Dick Hanna's Ford. You know, we've got the whole lineup of fall vehicles. You know those. That's the biggest money maker for that station. So our general manager came into the newsroom and was like, "We're not doing that story. We're not doing it. Why? Money." So we couldn't cover the story. They'll pull their ads. Like, he was threatened by it. You know, he knew better to do it. I mean, that's how it works. Just how it works, you know? Someone said here in the chat rooms, like, this was like, you know, what newspaper, what local paper? They're all dried up. Yeah, yes, you're right.
Well, and the thing is, like, the people that have the power, there are some people that push back on that. But for the most part, all these big news, like the mainstream media that you're watching, understand that you are getting what they are allowed to tell you. So you're getting a very soft version, and that's why they have the softball questions to the senators and Congress people. These presidential candidates, they never hit them hard, because they'll lose all the ad dollars that those campaigns are putting into their, you know, to their 15 minutes of fame or whatever, and they lose all that. So you're never getting, except for every once in a while they'll pull out one hard hitting story where they're like, okay, we'll let you cover this one because it's not really going to take anybody down per se. So it's sick.
It's rare.
Yeah,
it's rare.
It is rare.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.